have nuts in my teeth.
We're recording.
You just told all of America.
Yeah, I know it. I know it. He's been at the Old Vic. He's been on stage with Katharine Hepburn. He's been on a TV series, and he is Superman. And he's not even 30 years old. Somehow that doesn't seem possible, but you have, for someone your age, an extraordinary career already behind you.
Thanks. Oh, God. This is the funeral oration for Christopher Reeve.
But of course, you know, a lot of times people at your age are just looking toward that first success, and you've known success for quite some time.
Well, thank you. I've taken my raps, too. I mean, that all hasn't been clover. Somewhere in Time came out and was ambushed by the critics who stood on a big cliff and fired howitzers at it. Vincent Canby in the New I just said, this picture does for screen romance what the Hindenburg did for dirigibles. Can you imagine him going home and just making up that line? I don't care, because many people love that film, and the idea behind making it was to make a real old-fashioned screen romance, and hey, you know, we gave it a good shot. But what can you say? Yeah, I knew I wanted to be an actor by the time I was 9. And a lot of people don't know what they want for breakfast when they're 9. And I just really was lucky. I just fell into it.
Talking about falling into it, obviously it was no accident that Katharine Hepburn decided to have you in her road show.
Well, it was Broadway. Yeah, it was Broadway. It was called A Matter of Gravity, and we played the pre-Broadway tryout and then 4 or 5 months on Broadway. But she cast, I think she saw everybody in New York. And she sits right down there, front row center at the audition. And you come in, you know, and you're dealing with, I was 21, 22, right out of drama school. And I come in there, and she's sitting there. I thought it would just be a stage manager, but there's the producer, the director, the angels, you know, the money, Katharine Hepburn all sitting there. She's a big bag of fudge, sitting there with her peaked cap and getting into the fudge and watching all these actors. And I think I surprised her because I was the only actor that came in that day that knew all the lines for 3 scenes in advance. I had the whole thing memorized and ready, and I had props, and I think I got the part by sheer enthusiasm, being so prepared.
Did you learn a lot from her?
I hope so, otherwise I wasted a lot of time. No, but seriously, to spend that much time with her and not learn something, I think would have been a disastrous mistake. And I think a kind of simplicity is what she teaches, and basically a radically different look at acting. I had, excuse me, I had thought that acting was a way to hide from yourself, a way to get lost in another character, disappear, become something else. She taught me it's not. It's the opposite. It's a way to reveal what you actually believe, what you actually think, because you, the person, you, Nancy, me, Chris, whatever, you are more interesting as a real person than any piece of fiction. So that a character should always start with your beliefs, your loves, your fears, your insecurities, and then change the behavior later on as an addition. But it's a way to show rather than to hide.
You took on quite a challenge when you decided to make Superman, the first Superman, now Superman 2, because those of us who grew up with the other Superman on black and white TV and before that in the comics had a very strong and very clear image of that. And you risked offending virtually all of us. Of course, it happened that it worked out beautifully, but you certainly were aware of that sort of challenge.
Well, it was a very calculated risk, though. I thought it was about 90-10. You know,
Did you?
In terms of the risk point spread, really. I had turned down 2 or 3 opportunities to audition for the part because I was just that skeptical. I thought, oh God, who needs it? Superman, they'll never make it work. Then I read the material. I read the script and I heard Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman, Susanna York, Terrence Stamp, E.G. Marshall, you know, on and on down the line, and you knew it wasn't a joke. You knew that it would have a sense of humor, that it would poke fun at itself but never lapse into parody. And it was the turning point of my life, far from being a great risk, really.
You know, something one can't help but sense in just a few minutes is that you're very willing to be very giving in an interview like this with a total stranger, and you don't know what I'm going to do with it when I go home. That often is not the case. People often just don't want to talk to the press because they've been burned or it's a real drag. You give a lot of yourself.
I have a list of people that I'm not so friendly towards. You know, a little dartboard on the wall with, you know, people's names on it. But I figure that you got nothing to gain. The press can say anything they want anyway. I mean, you can go home and cut up an interview and make anybody look like a jerk just by intercutting and show, you know. You could take, for example, I'm giving you a great idea here. Take some really serious dialogue about the integrity of the character and then show an outtake of him crashing into a wall or something like that. You know, you can make anybody look ridiculous. That's the power of the medium. So as an actor, I just you think, you know, I'll just come in and be friendly and let the chips fall where they may. You just can't be bothered. It's all external. It doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? As an actor, it's pleasant, it's nice, it's fun. Reviewer wants to take a shot, an interviewer wants to take a shot. Let them spill their ink. It's fine, as long as you have a sense of what you're doing. And I think the one thing I do have going for me, and I will have success and I will have failures, but I do have a sense of what I'm doing, and that, you know, that keeps me going.
You've enjoyed Superman 2. Good experiences.
Yeah.
You're proud of being the man who is that character for us.
Oh, sure. But I make a deal with the audience, which is that you can think of me as Superman forever if you want, but let me think of me whoever I want to be. You know, you can remember, if you want to, deny that I'm anything else but Superman, and think of me always that way. That's fine. But I must quietly get about my own business and do what I want. In other words, I cannot carry a torch for the public. I cannot take on that responsibility. And I think that's a fair deal.
It certainly is.
Okay.
We're the winners.
All right.
Christopher Reeve,
Deal.
Superman 2.
All
Thank
right,
you.
sure.
Nice to see you. And we'll be right back. Thank you.
Sure.